Hey, welcome to the weekly wrap up. Now, I am getting really used to doing this by myself, so it's been pretty cool. So over the weekend, USA dropped bombs and Bitcoin melted down because no other markets open over the weekend. So it's all eyes on oil this week, and I'm going to look at that chart. None of this is financial advice, of course. It's just my opinion. And because I've been doing this for a long time, since I was 15. So we'll look at that. We'll look at BTC. I don't think so much we'll look at alts. I'll look at Ethereum, though, and just sort of bring those up because they're the main charts we need to really look at to see where the market's going. And so let's get straight into it. And of course, don't forget, the weekly wrap-up is brought to you by Femex, and we offer you free signals. Make sure you enter our referral code, which is on the screen there. Go to the link in the underneath this video on either Twitter, YouTube, or X, not Twitter, and of course inside Getting Started in Crypto. So I'm going to jump straight into the charts, get my glasses on so I can see, and get straight into it because that's what you guys want to see. Now, this is Bitcoin as it stands at the moment. So we've had that pullback. When we zoom out, it's still amazingly good. And if we're looking at, there's a couple of different patterns here. I've put them in the group. So if you're in Getting Started in Crypto, you'll have a full breakdown from the daily update, what those patterns were. But I'll briefly run through these because there's a couple of key things here, like the stock, which is just crossed. Now, this went down like negative. So this is about to bounce. It may just be a temporary bounce, but it's about to bounce. So when we get to these low points, we always get a bounce. You can see we had a small one here. We've got a larger one here when it crosses over. So at this point, we've got a pivot sitting at, the first pivot sits at 103 and the second pivot sits at 108. So there's potential for those two patterns. This is the daily. So we're looking at this here where we've got 100 and 200 MA support. Now, if this is an impulse, I want to have a look at this and show you guys if this is an impulse. Because when we go to the BLX, we have this here for the resistance. We're in this wave here, which is looking more and more so like a fourth wave. Potentially, we might be in the impulsive wave already. So if this was our wave here, and we're now in an impulse, so this is the finish of our correction ABC, and we're in an impulsive wave. This looks something like this. So this would be our wave one. I'll put the Elliott waves on it. So 1, very shallow 2, 3, 4 normally goes 50%, and I'll put the fibs on that in a moment. And this is our resistance region between these two lines. So it's about 121, 122 to that BLX chart resistance in this region. So it says 123 now because as we go sideways, it's going to get a little bit higher because it's on a diagonal. So that is kind of where we're sitting in between that 120, 125 mark. And this fourth wave has reached 50%. So it's hit the 0.05 fib, which means there could be a reversal. A fourth wave traditionally goes to a 0.5 according to Elliott wave. And considering our first wave was really shallow, it could go slightly deeper. That is a possibility. So when we get a really shallow wave, we do get a deeper fourth wave. So that would go down to the 618 without breaking anything, any patterns, anything. So that 618 is around between 93 to 96. So that's possibly the next wave down if it does continue down. But if it can bounce from here, considering it's hit the 0.05 and then go up for that fifth wave. If we look at this as a completed pattern and we take off these, and it's not an impulse, considering we've broken the high, that normally means it's an impulse. But there's one particular Elliott wave pattern called a running flat, which means this may not be an impulse. It could be a WXY. So basically, that would be WX broken the high, coming down for the Y. So this could either go truncated Y, higher up, or a lower one. So depending on how the market sort of goes. If you're crypto capo, he's saying that it's going quite low. So when we kind of zoom out to that and we go, okay, is this our major correction here before we head up? And we've got 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll put the Elliott waves on it again. So we've got our 1, our 2, our 3. So potentially our 5 waves complete, and then we're doing a major correction before we continue in this market. So if that does happen and we're doing a full correction, this 74 is the 382, and we've already hit that once. So it can double bottom, and that's what a running flat is. Running flat will break the high and double bottom. So that's the alternate here, and that's max pain. But nothing goes straight down. We bounce, we go down, we bounce, we go down, we bounce. So unless we've got a total capitulation event, and then we just go straight down. So we saw that way back here in 21, where we, in May 21, where we just had such a meltdown on that day. It was my birthday, so I remember quite well. So that's the possibilities here. So if we lean towards this being the bullish pattern, we are looking at this being coming down and holding above 93, could be complete, maybe one wave to go. So if I strip that down on a 4-hour and we have a look at the wave pattern, I don't think we've got enough waves here yet for that to be complete. So that's why I'm thinking there may be one more wave down with this. So if we're doing a fib projection on this one and we're looking at this, we can see that we are 1-to-1 at that point at the 98. So that's a really like a tight sort of way of, coming in, and then we get some tether prints. We had 2 overnight that held that level. So if we continue to get tether prints, then we're going to see an even greater bounce. But technically, this pullback can go back as low as the 618. So if this is an A, this is a B, this is coming down for a C in this 4-hour pattern. So this is a subwave. So forget everything that I said before. This is an internal subwave of this pattern. And basically that would look like A, B, coming down to C, kind of around, could go as low as 91 on that pattern. So there's a couple of different patterns. Actually, there's probably about 5 different patterns that are possible at the moment. And we don't know where they are because we're sitting right in the middle of these pattern fib lines. So if this gets a reversal at this point, so the upper fib, to know that this is no longer a C wave and it's complete, is 103. So if we get a break at that pivot, we could potentially be going into an extended correction. And that would look like an A, a B, a C, a D, and an E. So that's an alternative sideways corrective pattern. And that's a super bullish one because we've hit those levels at 0.5 on those fibs on that retrace. So this is a really possible one because we had a really, really shallow like first and second, and then we've got the third. So the fourth, if we get rule of alternation in Elliott wave, is if the second is shallow, the fourth wave will be extended. If the second is extended, the fourth wave will be quick. So obviously the second wave here has been really shallow. So we do have that extension on this fourth wave. So this is the area that it tests your patience. It tests how much capital you're investing. It tests like so many different things. And this is where most people sort of tap out and they go, no, this is not for me. Crypto is not for me. It's too volatile. It's going, up and down. So, but if you zoom out, it's actually looking really nice. And like if we zoom right out, and I'll go to, let me take these stuff off, and we go to a monthly. And we have a look. We've got a very nice spinning top, which can be because it hasn't broken the high here on this spinning top. That usually means it's a subwave, which is a fourth wave, which is what I've been saying. And while we can get a little bit more down in this, but it's still looking quite good. The MACD and the stock are still looking quite good on the monthly. We're getting a little bit of sell pressure, but not enough to sort of, be really concerned with. It hasn't flipped into the red on that chart. And if we have a look back to the weekly, we're green and we're bouncing. So this is looking very, very corrective. And, we've got this 21 EMA that hasn't been tested. So that's at 66, 67, which fits with those fibs that I was saying just before. So, potentially we're going to hang around this region maybe for like another month. It looks like we might get a rate cut coming into July. At the end of this month, which is only a week away, we have the 6 monthly futures, and they are huge. So I think they're hitting almost $1 billion in futures. So that is going to determine which way this market goes. And that's only a week away. So they may go up, down, but that will be in line with the pattern. For me, this is not a trade zone on BTC at the moment. Like scalps, yes, but not a major sort of reversal or correction or anything at the moment, because there's no real direction, because we're mid-pattern and there's no confirmation. So you're not going to go, I'm going to go all in long here and 100 times. You wouldn't do that anyway, but you're just not going to do that in this region, because it's too uncertain to be in, and that's just gambling. So that's what I'm seeing for BTC. So essentially, we're just sitting in this region. We could go sideways a little bit longer, but we do have this untested resistance, which is sitting at 121, and we can see that we've gone here the whole entire time. Now, this is going to be a fourth test of this resistance. And if you've been watching me, the fourth test on any resistance is make or break. So if we do get a strong rejection at that point, it's possible that we come straight back down to that 93, and that might be that cascading wave and that capitulation that we see. Alts are really, really, really oversold. So that to me says that 120, 121 is coming fairly soon. Like they're like just absolutely annihilated. And this cycle was always going to be a cycle for alts that kind of is make or break. And we're not going to see the millions of them survive. There's just too many. So when you think about alts as cars, and BTC's maybe like your Lamborghini, and it's your high ticket one, and then you've got all the alts. There's not unlimited cars. There's lots of car brands out there, and they all sort of have all their different cars, and that's what alts are, and they all drive kind of on the same highway, or can do, but they don't. There's not an unlimited supply as there is in crypto, so some of that needs to be culled. That's kind of what's happening. So it's just sort of clearing out the debris and getting that out of the way. The BTC dominance has just hit the resistance. So this is an interesting space for that as well, which means to me, BTC is kind of starting to move. So we want that to break out, and then not good for alts again, but if it does break out, BTC is going to see that 121 to, that region that we're talking about, 120 to 125. That's going to be the area that BTC sees. So all eyes on this dominance chart at the moment. Is it going to stay there? Is it going to pull back to this support for, another test? The total has dropped past, and the pivot here is 2.9. So that's a really important pivot. We don't want that to break. And essentially, they're not the ugliest charts that I've ever seen, because when we draw, it's sort of, they've touched through those support lines, but they've come straight back over the top. So, they're not the ugliest patterns that we're seeing. When we kind of draw these, we've got expanding wedges, which are quite bullish, and, we've got room to move. So 3.21 seems to be always the position on the total that we always come back to. That is quite a pivotal region. So breaking that 3.21 trillion is going to be an epic sort of moment, and that's probably where we hit that point on BTC, where it's at the 120 to the 125. So the other one is the DXY has had a small bounce here, and it is right at the pivot. So this region breaking 99.2 and going up, it may see 102. So that may see crypto come down. So these are all the variables that are kind of happening right now. There's not enough waves in this, and I still do think it's going back down to 94. May not be just yet, though. And quickly jumping to Ethereum, this is ETH BTC. It's only just holding that 100 MA on the daily, and it really needs to hold that. It doesn't break pattern until right down at 19. And I say this every week, and this is such a slow moving chart, it may take forever to go up or down. And quickly we'll look at Ethereum, if my chart wants to open. And I just want to show you as well that this has come back down to the 0.5, similar to what we saw with BTC. So they're on regions that are going to see a bounce, whether that's a huge bounce or not. ETH also has this resistance. So we had this channel happening. So that's going to be a strong resistance for ETH to try and get back into. So that's at about 2,500. And this pattern doesn't break until lower. Its break point is around 1,700. But again, we're almost to the bottom of the RSI. We're still quite heavy on the sells on the MACD. But if we go to the stock, which is normally an indicator that sort of turns up first, we can see we've just had a cross. And again, we went negative on this. And every time, so if we go back through this and we have a look, so every time we've had a cross on here, we've had, some green momentum. And that's kind of how this works. So I do think with Ethereum, this 2,450, 2,500 region is going to be retested. Whether that gets a rejection or not, or we keep going up, will depend what happens with BTC. but we're at a critical point where I do think we've got one small wave, hopefully, across the board, and then we should see some relief. It's just been like one sort of thing after the other with global events. Now, be careful, have stop losses, because as I showed you on BTC, there is these potential patterns that do go into the 70s. So, you know, whether we're looking at, you know, companies wanting to sort of build their Bitcoin, or they're wanting to get that money from the shorts. But 1 week away and we have all of those futures releasing. So that is essentially going to be huge for the market. And that's going to give us a little bit more momentum, a little bit more volatility at the end of this month. And then hopefully kicking off into July, we've got that momentum happening, whichever way that goes. And we're heading up by that stage. And, you know, we're looking at FOMC again and middle of the month there. And so that's not all that far away. We've got futures a week away, and we've got FOMC about 3 weeks away. And in between that, we've got CPI, we've got all of that sort of data releasing, and we're keeping an eye on, oh, I didn't show you the oil chart, did I? So let me go back to that, because that's a really important chart. Now, I've put that up on Twitter, on X, sorry. And let me bring that up, because it's quite a pivotal region as well. So this is an indicator, because, you know, if oil gets really expensive, this is going to go up. And it's when we saw COVID crash, basically they were giving away the oil, like it went sub-zero. So this resistance is really important. We can see that every time oil has hit this level on the RSI, so above the 75 region, which it is now, it goes into the overbought region and it pulls back. So every time it's hit there, we can see that we've had a major pullback, a pullback, a pullback. So every single time. So if we go back as far as this, we've got pullbacks, we've got pullbacks. So we're at that level again, which to me says this is, you know, it may go sideways a little bit, pull back down a little bit, go sideways and get to this point and then come back down and then continue. That's a possibility. But at this point here, it's my opinion that oil is going to pull back, and the pivot for this being bullish or bearish following the green pattern or the red pattern is 65. So breaking below 65 makes this bearish, and it's going into a fifth wave. If it holds at 65, it's going up. So that's the momentum happening for oil. So if it does hold that 65, we're seeing a ceasefire as well. And that would be what would happen sort of globally with an event that corresponds to this chart. So the price is always reflected in the chart, but we're midpoint on a lot of these charts where it can go two directions. And that's how Elliott wave works. So with this resistance level, we've hit the channel resistance, overbought RSI. I do think oil is going to get a correction, and that will give the market some breathing room. So yeah, it's going to be a big week. That's all I can say. It's going to be a big week. So thank you everyone for watching, and don't forget, check out the Femex link below for getting started in crypto and get the Femex free signals with getting started in crypto. G6 signals in there is killing it on those signals at the moment. So yeah, it's going to be a massive week. Watch out for those futures and make sure you keep your capital protected. Always have a stop loss, because you lose it all, you're out of the game completely. So it's the only way to be staying solvent in crypto is to protect your capital. So stop losses all round at the moment, or just sit on your hands for a week until we have some more information on the direction. But it's going to be huge. And don't forget to check out gettingstartedincrypto.com. And thank you again for watching. And I'll catch you on X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere, basically, and inside Getting Started in Crypto. Thanks, guys. See you next week here.